Hello everyone, we've got a quadratic modelling question here, and now in my experience this is one that students tend not to like, this type of question. It's kind of like people find it hard to know how to form it, and they can be quite tricky in my opinion. So it says, figure 3 is a graph of a trajectory of a golf ball after it has been hit until it first hits the ground. The vertical height, h meters, of the ball above the ground has been plotted against the horizontal distance travelled, x meters, measured from where the ball was hit. The ball is modelled as a particle travelling in a vertical plane above horizontal ground. Given that the ball is hit from a point at the top of a platform that is 3 meters high, so it's maybe like a driving range or something like that, reaches a maximum vertical height after travelling a horizontal distance of 90 meters, and is at a vertical height of 27 meters above the ground after travelling a horizontal distance of 120 meters. Given also that x is modelled as a quadratic function, find h in terms of x, 5 marks. Okay, so we've got to kind of like synthesize all that information into a quadratic equation. So let's write down the general form of a quadratic in its most general form. So in this case, we're going to say the height is equal to a times by x squared plus bx plus c. So that's our general form of a quadratic, okay? So what do we know about the information? Well, we know that initially it's 3 meters high. So what does that mean? That means that when x is equal to 0 and it hasn't traveled anywhere, it's got a height of 3. So we can sub that in. So 3 is equal to a times by 0 squared plus b times by 0 plus c, which means that c is 3. So that's one step in the right direction, because we now know that our model is like this now. Okay, so we've used that initial piece of information that it was hit from a platform that was 3 meters above the ground. Okay, what else can we say? We can say that when it's travelled 120 meters, it's at a height of 27. So that's like they've given us a coordinate there to put in. So in other words, this piece of information is when it's travelled 120 meters, it's at a height of 27 meters. So let's sub that in as well. So 27 is going to equal a times by 120 squared plus b times by 120 plus 3. Some brackets around that just to make it not look so confusing. Okay, perfect. Well, this is going to be 27 is going to be equal to a times by 14,400, sorry, 14,400 plus 120b plus 3. So in other words, what we can say is we can say that that is the same as 24 is equal to 14,400 a plus 120b, like so. All right, so that's one equation, okay, with two unknowns. So we've got to park that there for now. So we've used two of the pieces of information. What's the next one? It reaches its maximum height when it's travelled a horizontal distance of 90 meters. Now, what's the implication of that? The implication of that is that when x is 90, when it's travelled 90 meters, dh by dx is going to equal 0, the rate of change of height, because it's going to be at the turning point, okay? So we need to differentiate our h expression to get a dh by dx. Now, what's that going to be? It's going to be this equation here, so it's going to be 2ax plus b, okay? And we're saying that this is equal to 0, so 0 is equal to 2a times by 90 plus b. So this is going to give us a separate equation, which is 180a plus b equals 0, okay? So we've made use of that. I'm going to call that one equation 1. That one I'm going to call equation 2. So we've made use of those, all of those pieces of information now. So we're in a position now where we can solve a and b simultaneously, okay? And it's perfectly fine. I'm going to solve those simultaneously just using my calculator. And when you solve those two equations simultaneously using your calculator, what do you find? you should find, now that's a good question, let's look at the mark scheme and see whether or not there are method marks for actually working out what A and B are. So what have we got? I think the method marks here appear to be forming the equations, yeah? There's not actually a method mark for doing the solving itself. So all the method marks seem to be for, you've got one method mark which is just for subbing in, getting the 3 here, and then you get one method mark for forming one of the equations and another method mark for forming the other equation. So it is safe, because students wonder, am I going to lose marks if I basically use my calculator to solve this pair of simultaneous equations? And the answer is, in this particular case, no. Okay, so A is going to equal minus 1 over 300 when we put these simultaneous equations into our calculator, and we find out that B is equal to 3/5. So now we've got our full model. So H is in fact equal to minus x squared over 300 plus 3/5 x plus 3. If you were unsure about that, by the way, you could always just do it longhand and just like solve them. It would be pretty straightforward really to do that in order to work out your A and B if you were worried that you could potentially lose a mark. But that's part A done for 5 marks. Okay, we found our complete equation by making use of all those pieces of information. Now, what's next? Hence, find, according to the model, the maximum vertical height of the ball above the ground. Now, just by symmetry, because the ball's travelled 120 meters, the maximum height is going to occur. Oh no, hang on, let's have a look. No. We're told that the maximum height occurs when it's equal to 90 meters. Remember, the question told us that it reaches a maximum vertical height when it's travelled a horizontal distance of 90 meters. Okay, so therefore the maximum height is going to occur when x is equal to 90 in this equation that we've just got. So that is going to be minus 90 squared over 300 plus 3 times by 90 over 5 plus 3, and when we work that out, that gives us a value of 30 meters. Okay, so 30 meters is our maximum height. Part 2, it says find the horizontal distance travelled by the ball from when it was first hit until when it hits the ground. Yes, okay. So when it hits the ground, it's going to have a h of 0. So we need to put height as 0 into our equation and solve for x here. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. So 3/5 x plus 3. And again, I think I can safely put this into my calculator now. Okay, so as having set that to 0, if I put that into my calculator, I find I get that x is either equal to 184.86 or x is equal to minus 4.868. Now the minus 4.868 is a theoretical value. That's like if you could go back in time to imagine when the ball was at 0 over here, theoretically it would be at minus 4. So this is the result that we want. Okay, and if we give it to 3 significant figures, that is going to be 185 meters to 3 significant figures. Okay, so that's our answer for that one. Last bit of this question then. It says it's got to be a modelling assumptions. So it says the possible effects of wind or air resistance are 2 limitations. Give one other limitation. So I think we could say that we need to think about whether or not the ground is level. That would have an effect. We need to think about, take into account spin on the ball. We need to take into account that the ball is not a particle and it needs to have physical dimensions. So any one of those, the ground being level, spin on the ball having physical dimensions, any one of those would be an appropriate modelling assumption. Right, really important question that, I think, so, and a very good one of its type. So hope you're finding these videos helpful. Do remember to like and subscribe to the channel if you're finding them helpful. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.